For 2025, it was decided that Piastri would have a firm 2-year deal to race at Alpine through to the end of 2026. It was this offer which gave Piastri no hope of a short-term future at Alpine that is believed to have been the final straw in making him decide not to sign and proceed. Instead, Webber and Piastri agreed that the best route forward was to look elsewhere, with informal talks having already begun with McLaren at that stage. Sources have revealed that the CRB ruling noted that Alpine had been shilly-shallying about an F1 driver contract for Mr. Piastri for the previous 8 months. And here they were now proposing a 4-year contract commencing with a 2-year loan arrangement with Williams. The talks with McLaren advanced, and with the team understood to have informed Daniel Ricciardo as early as May that it was looking at other options for 2023, a preliminary deal arrangement between the Woking-based team and Piastri was signed on June the 4th. It's understood that this was initially to be in an unspecified role for 2023, just in case Ricciardo stayed on, but obviously with the intention being that Piastri would step up if a separation took place, with both McLaren and Piastri satisfied that there was no rights to his services elsewhere, based on Alpine only having that subject-to-contract term sheet lodged at the CRB, and talks with Ricciardo accelerating to head in the clear direction of a parting of ways. Piastri's final race contract was signed on July the 4th, subject to there being a vacancy for him. Ricciardo's subsequent Instagram post on July the 13th about being fully committed to McLaren for 2023 must therefore be viewed more as a negotiating tactic. This would have been aimed at strengthening his hand when it came to the terms of a severance, rather than being a smoking gun of him being unaware of what McLaren was up to in the background. Even if he may not have specifically known about the timings of deals put in place with Piastri. With the McLaren 2023 contract in place, Piastri kept his head down as the team began finalising the terms of its split with Ricciardo, which it wanted completed before announcing its future driver plans. However, the matter got dragged into the public domain when Alpine lost Alonso to Aston Martin at the start of the summer break and then announced Piastri for 2023, prompting the youngster to post the infamous tweet that he would not be racing for it, and triggering the eventual CRB hearing. In the end, the CRB's decision was unanimous. The term sheet, being labelled subject to contract, meant it was far from being valid, and with nothing else having been lodged by Alpine, the obvious conclusion was that McLaren was the only team with a genuine contract for 2023 and beyond. Interestingly, as a final act of conflict between Alpine and Piastri, the team argued to the CRB that the Australian should swallow his own legal fees of more than £120,000, as they felt he was not a party to the proceedings. The CRB rejected that, as it felt he had every right to be represented. A further complaint from Alpine about the cost of McLaren's legal representatives being excessive was also thrown out. Moving on. For Alpine, beyond the loss of Piastri and the full legal costs of all the parties that it must bear, there will be important lessons to learn in the future about how it deals with its drivers and their contracts. It must be noted that Zafnauer only joined the team in early March, by which stage the situation was running hard, and it may not have been a priority for him to focus on documents already lodged at the CRB. Pushed on what Alpine's response to the events would be, Zafnauer said at Zandvoort, "All this happened in November of last year, so I guess it's easy to blame people that aren't here anymore, but that's not my style. The right thing to do is to have a look at what happened, understand where the shortcomings were and fix them for the future." While there seems no debate over the legal aspects of the Piastri matter, it's understood that for Zafnauer there remains an uncomfortable feeling regarding the morals of how things played out. From McLaren's side, while delighted that it has won one of the brightest rising talents we've seen in years, there is still a sense of unease about how Piastri was unfairly painted in some quarters over recent weeks, while it could say nothing in public to defend him. As the team boss Andreas Seidel said at Zandvoort, "I think I was a bit surprised about some of the comments I've read, also from people that had no detailed knowledge of what was actually happening. I think some of these comments were therefore also inappropriate, not fair, and just not respecting what was happening. If I just look at myself in such a situation, if I only know what happens from one side, I try to stay away from making comments on it. And I think that is also important to mention in order to protect Oscar.